So just start sitting your sit bones back on or towards your heels. Place your hands just onto the tops of your thighs. Then just have a nice bend in the elbows. And just start by closing down the eyes. And then take your attention to your breath. So just visualize or just notice the rise and fall of your belly. And just feel the shoulders softening on the exhale. And perhaps just notice any areas of tension, maybe in the neck, maybe the shoulders, maybe the lower back. And then on the inhale, just consciously growing out through the crown of the head, really lengthening the spine, tucking the tailbone ever so slightly. And then really dropping the shoulders on the exhale. I sometimes think kneeling is a nicer position for the spine. It's much easier to stay upright. Much easier on the shoulders as well. And then just keeping that focus on the breath. The inhales. And the exhales. And then just taking your attention to anything that's coming up for you, mentally or emotionally. And maybe scanning the day, right from the moment that you woke up. And then if it feels right, if it feels relevant, maybe setting an intention for your practice. Just for anything that's come up for you. Perhaps it's just a word, a thought, an emotion, or maybe it's a sentence starting with I am. So an I am statement. I am calm, I am strong, I'm okay. And then either keeping the eyes closed or just gently fluttering them open. And we'll start by taking some movements into the neck. So taking the chin towards your chest. And then inhale, taking the gaze up towards the ceiling, feeling a gentle stretch in the front of the neck. Exhale back to center, take an inhale, exhale, take a gaze to the left. You're keeping the torso still. Inhale here, exhale back to center, take another inhale and then take the gaze over to the right. So imagining the chin coming into alignment with the shoulder. Inhale here, exhale back to center. Take another inhale and then exhale. This time, drop the chin to chest again. But as you're here, maybe take some slow semicircles. Just rolling the head, just from one shoulder to the other. But just being really careful. Making sure you're avoiding any pain. Avoiding overstretching. And then lifting the head back to center. Take an inhale here and then exhale. We'll tilt the left ear towards the left shoulder. So we're finding a stretch down the right hand side of the neck. And just taking some small rolls of the head here, if that feels right. Just working in to that right side. And then option, just to extend your right fingertips down towards the floor. So lifting your hand off the right thigh. You can just find a bit more stretch there. Inhale here, exhale, back to center. Take another inhale and exhale. We'll go the other side. So dropping that right ear towards the right shoulder, but keeping both shoulders level. And again, overtaking some movement here. Just releasing any tension in the neck. Or extending those left fingertips down towards the floor. They don't have to reach the floor, but it just intensifies the stretch down the opposite side. And just staying with the breath, slow, deep inhales, slow, deep exhales. Inhale here, exhale, take the head back to center. And then we'll tuck our toes under. So sitting our sit bones back towards our heels, but making sure the toes are tucked under. So a bit of a toe stretch here. And we'll take some rolls with the shoulders. So we'll inhale, taking the shoulders forward and up, and exhale, dropping them round. So warming up through the shoulders, but also releasing any tension here. And then reversing that action. And by the way, if you're finding this really uncomfortable, that's fine and that's normal. So just release the toes if you need to. The first time I did this, I thought it was excruciating. And then releasing, taking inhale, sweeping the arms up, and exhale, taking hold of opposite elbows. Making sure that your head and your neck are still in line. And then gently pulling the elbows towards the back of the room. So we're just finding a gentle stretch in the shoulders. Inhale here, exhale, release, interlace the hands behind you. Inhale to squeeze the shoulders and drop those hands down towards the tailbone. Another inhale here, exhale, folding forwards. Take the crown of the head down onto the mat in front of you and just extend your hands up over your head. And again, not forcing anything, but just squeezing the shoulders. Releasing the toes if you need to, or keeping them tucked under if that feels better. Slow, deep inhales and exhales here. Inhale here, exhale, release the hands, placing them underneath the shoulders, lifting the head up, and we'll come into our tabletop position. So just readjust as you need to, releasing the toes, knees as wide as the hips, hands as wide as the shoulders, but hands underneath the shoulders. And just find that neutral position. So we tuck the tailbone ever so slightly, take the gaze between the thumbs. Really rotate the heels of the hands into the mat so that you can shine the creases of your elbows towards the top of the mat. Draw the navel back towards the spine. And then we'll inhale, dropping the belly, taking the gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reverse the action, chin to chest, really arching the spine. Inhale, drop the belly, take the gaze back up. And just a few of these in your own time, just making sure that breath initiates the movement. And just taking the movement as wide or as slowly as you need to. And we'll come back to center and then sway the hips out from side to side. And then walking the hands forward a couple of paces, maybe even taking them out slightly towards the edges of the mat, and then just taking any movement that feels good for you. So working, maybe bending into the elbows, circling the hips, maybe taking some figure of eights, maybe coming all the way forwards and then back into child's pose, just anything that feels intuitive. And then we'll come back through center, taking the hands underneath the shoulders again. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, we'll tuck the toes, send the hips high, and we'll come into our first downward dog. So before you settle, just find some movement. You might want to adjust the distance of your hands. So making sure that middle finger is pointing up towards the top of the mat. Spreading the fingers wide, but not overdoing it. Really pushing into the heels of your hands, but also using the pads of your fingers as well, and your knuckles. Taking your feet so they're hip width apart. And just pedaling out. But using your breath as well. So really taking those slow, deep inhales, slow, deep exhales. And then finding that stillness. So either taking a bend in the knees so that you can really push the torso towards the thighs. Nice long line from the tailbone all the way down to the crown of the head. Gaze through the knees. And then lowering the heels further down towards the mat. Maybe straightening through the legs if that feels okay. But keep with the breath. And just knowing you have that option to take it down to child's pose anytime that you need to. Downward dog in Ashtanga Yoga is a rest pose, but I think I've said this before, it takes quite a long time for it to feel restful. So taking a deep inhale, and then as we exhale, we'll all walk towards the top of the mat, taking our feet towards our hands. Feet are hip width apart, take a real bend in the knees and take hold of opposite elbows. Then we'll just hang here in our ragdoll, releasing the lower back, releasing the shoulders. If it feels good, maybe just take a sway from side to side. And then releasing the elbows, we'll inhale to our flat back position. So hands onto the shins, straighten through the legs, take the gaze forward. Nice release for the spine. And exhale to fold. And then we'll inhale, pushing through the feet, folding up at the hips, coming all the way up to standing, palms to touch above the head. And we exhale, hands to heart center. And just readjusting here. Giving yourself a few breaths. Maybe closing down the eyes. Just allowing yourself to readjust. And just take note of your alignment as well. So making sure that your feet are hip width apart. You've got equal weight between both feet. Spreading your toes into the mat, but not gripping too tightly. Pulling up on the kneecaps. Tilting the pelvis forward, so you're tucking that tailbone under. Drawing the navel back towards the spine. Dropping the shoulders, but really extending through the crown of your head. And connect with that breath. Slow, deep inhales. And slow exhales. We'll inhale, drop the hands, sweep the hands up overhead, palms to touch, take the gaze up towards those fingertips. And exhale, we'll dive forwards, swan dive, separating out the hands, coming into that forward fold. Inhale, take the gaze forward to that flat back. Exhale, fold again, plant the hands, bend the knees if you need to. Keep the gaze towards the top of the mat as you step your feet back into a plank. Inhale here, exhale, drop to the knees, bend the elbows into the torso as you lower all the way down. And we'll inhale, raise the chest, lifting the chest off the mat, squeezing the glutes into our baby cobra. And then exhale, pushing through the hands, back up into our cat stretch. So really arching the spine, chin to chest, tuck the toes under, send the hips high. And we're back into our downward dog. Pausing here, finding that breath. Really circulating that breath around the body. We'll inhale, take the knees to a hover, gaze through the hands, and you've got an option here to step, walk, or hop yourselves up towards the top of the mat. Inhale to a flat back. So straight legs, hands on the shins, gaze forward. Exhale, fold. And we'll inhale, sweep all the way up, coming up into standing, palms to touch, take the gaze up towards the ceiling. And exhale, we're going to fold all the way down, hands through heart center, coming all the way to that forward fold. Inhale, flat back, gaze is forward. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, plant the hands, keep the gaze towards the top of the mat. As you step walk, or option to hop yourself into a plank if you're feeling a bit more energetic. Inhale here and exhale, either drop to the knees and lower knees, chin, chest, all the way to the mat, or you can hover yourself forward, bend at the elbows, lower down to that hover, to that chaturanga position. And then inhale, coming up onto the tops of the feet, pushing through the hands, squeeze the shoulders, and coming into that cobra or to your baby cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes under, either come through that cat stretch or send the hips up so you're straight into your downward dog. And pausing again here. Building some heat. Warming up the body. We inhale, hover the knees, gaze through the hands. And as we exhale, we step walk or jump ourselves to the top of the mat, into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweeping ourselves all the way up to standing, palms to touch. And then exhale, folding all the way down again into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step walk or hop yourselves into your plank. Inhale here and exhale. Take that option through your vinyasa. So inhaling to your upward dog or your cobra or your baby cobra. Take the gaze to the ceiling and exhale, tuck the toes under, sending the hips high or coming through that cat stretch back into that downward dog. Back to reconnecting with that breath. Sinking the heels further down towards the mat. And we'll all inhale, coming up onto our tiptoes. And exhale, drop those heels down. Inhale, onto those tiptoes. Exhale, drop the heels down. Inhale, hover the knees. Gaze through the hands. Exhale, step walk, or hop yourselves up to the top. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And inhale, sweeping all the way up. Palms to touch. And exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll pause here. Maybe close down the eyes. Maybe have a shake out, take a drink, take a jumper off, readjust before we go into our sun salutation number 2. So taking our hands by our sides, we'll take our feet so that our big toes touch and there's a gap between the heels, or if that doesn't feel quite right, option to keep them hip width apart if that feels better for you. And we'll stand tall, dropping the shoulders, extending the fingertips down towards the mat, towards the floor. And then as we inhale, we'll sink our sit bones back, bend through the knees and sweep the arms up past the ears, extending through the fingertips, palms to touch. So we're in our chair pose, or Utkatasana. So really trying to lift through the chest and shoulders, but sinking into the hips, tucking the tailbone, weight in the heels, almost so that you can lift the toes. And then find the breath. So really opening up, lifting the chest on the inhale, and then sinking the hips on the exhale. Also known as awkward pose. Inhale here, exhale, take your hands to heart center. Take another inhale and exhale, take a twist to the left. So just keeping your knees, keeping your feet where they are, keeping the hips where they are, twisting to the left. And we have an option to hook that right elbow on the outside of that left knee. Take the gaze over the left elbow. Really engage the core. Drop the shoulders down. And we inhale to release, coming all the way back through center, extending through the fingertips. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll go the other side. So inhale here. Exhale, we twist to the right, keeping the hips square. Keeping the knees in line. And again, option to hook that left elbow on the outside of the right knee. Take the gaze over the right elbow or the right shoulder. Stay with the breath as you really feel it in the legs. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, fold forwards as you straighten the legs. Release the neck. Inhale to your flat back, take the gaze forward. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, and step walk or hop yourselves into that plank. Inhale here and exhale, lower yourself down. Inhale to your back bend of your choice. Take the gaze up and exhale, tuck the toes under. Lift the hips, come into the downward dog. Turn the left foot out slightly. We inhale, raise the right leg up. Exhale, step the right foot between the hands. Plant both feet before inhaling, sweeping yourselves up to your warrior one. Exhale, float the hands down, frame that front foot. Twist on the ball of the back foot to step back into your plank. Inhale here, exhale through that vinyasa, taking any options that you need to take. Exhale, back to your downward dog. Turn your right foot out, inhale the left up. Exhale, step the left foot through, plant both feet. We inhale, sweeping up to our warrior one on the opposite side. And then exhale, floating the hands down, framing that front foot. And then stepping back to our plank again. Inhale here, exhale. Through that vinyasa, through that flow. And exhale. We'll meet in our downward dog. And finding the stillness here. Notice any heat that you've built. Notice your heart rate, maybe notice the change of breath, change of pace. Inhale to hover the knees, gaze through the hands, and exhale, step, walk, or hop yourselves to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. And we'll inhale, sweep those arms past the ears, sinking the hips back, bending through the knees, back into our chair pose, really extending through the fingertips. And exhale, hands to heart center. Again, pausing here, reconnecting with the breath. And we'll go once more through that flow. And we'll finish off with a slightly different one before we get to the floor. So we'll go again. So feet, I should say. Big toes to touch, gap in the heels. Hands at heart center before dropping your hands by your sides. Dropping the shoulders, extending the fingertips down towards the mat. We inhale as we sweep the arms past the ears, bending through the knees, sinking the hips back. Gaze up towards the fingertips. Really tuck the tailbone, really engage the core. Weight is in the heels. Inhale here. This time as we exhale, floating all the way down into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands. Step, walk, or hop yourselves into your plank. Inhaling here, exhaling, floating through those options. Inhale to that back bend. Take the gaze up. Exhale, tuck the toes under, send the hips high. And we'll turn the left foot out again. Inhale the right up. Exhale, step that right foot through. Plant both feet. And we inhale, sweep both hands up towards the ceiling, into that warrior one. Exhale, float the hands down, frame the front foot. Pivot on the ball of the back foot. Step yourselves to plank. Inhale here, exhale. With control, floating through that vinyasa, that movement. Inhale to your back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Turn the right foot out. Inhale the left up. Exhale, step that left foot through. Plant both hands and we'll inhale, sweeping all the way up to a warrior one. And exhale, floating those hands down, framing the left foot. Stepping back to plank. Inhale here. Exhale through that vinyasa again. Really building heat, really building the energy. And then we meet in downward dog. Pausing here. Letting that movement, letting the energy and the heat catch up with you. Really flowing that breath around. We inhale, hover the knees, gaze through the hands, step, walk or hop yourselves up to the top again. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. One last time, inhale to our chair. So sink those hips back, extending up through those fingertips. And exhale, hands to heart center. Just reconnecting. Pushing the thumbs into the sternum. Dropping the shoulders. Slow, deep inhales. Slow, deep exhales. And we'll inhale, sweep the arms up again, palms to touch. Exhale, this time swan diving down, so leading with the chest, opening up the fingers, the hands towards the side, into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, and this time step the right foot back into a low lunge. We inhale, sweeping all the way up into a high lunge. So slightly different to the warrior one in that we're on the ball of the back foot. And the left knee is bent. Take the gaze up towards the ceiling, drop the shoulders. Inhale here, exhale. Release the hands behind you. We inhale to really squeeze the shoulders. Drop the interlaced hands down behind your back. And exhale, we take a fold. So keeping the hands interlaced, we take the left shoulder towards the left knee. Into our humble warrior. We inhale, releasing the hands, sweeping all the way up again. And we exhale, frame that front foot. Step back into a plank. Inhale here, exhale. We flow through that vinyasa again. Exhale. Coming into that downward dog. Inhaling and exhaling here. We inhale the left leg up. And we exhale, take the left knee towards the nose. Hovering into our flying plank here. Inhale back up. Left knee to nose. Inhale back up again. Left knee to nose. Inhale back up. This time left knee floating towards that left elbow. Nice. Inhale back up. Left knee, left elbow. Inhale back up. This time left knee, right elbow. So twisting ever so slightly. Inhale back up. This time exhale. Hover the knee to nose. Step the foot through. Inhale here and exhale. We'll step our right foot to meet the left, coming into that forward fold again. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping all the way up. Palms to touch. Exhale, swan diving forwards again, back into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, bend through the knees. This time, stepping back with the left foot. So we're going the other side. Into our low lunge, framing that front foot with both of the hands, really pushing into that back heel. As we inhale, sweep the hands up, coming into that high lunge, challenging that balance and wobbling, really pushing into that back heel. So bend in the front leg, Try to aim for a straight back leg. Deep inhale, exhale, drop the hands behind you. We inhale to drop the interlaced hands, shine the chest forward. When we exhale, take a bow, take that right shoulder towards that right knee, squeezing the shoulders, no tension in the neck. We'll inhale, releasing, sweeping all the way up. Exhale, frame that front foot. We step back to plank. Deep inhale here and exhale. One last vinyasa. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. And we'll go the other side with those core exercises. So we inhale, sweep the right leg up, coming into that three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee to nose. Inhale, send it up again. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, send it up. Exhale, knee to right elbow. Inhale, send it up. Exhale, knee to left elbow. Inhale, back up. Exhale, knee to nose again. Step that foot through. Inhale onto the fingertips and exhale. Step that left foot to meet the right foot in that forward fold. And we'll take a bend here in the knees. Take hold of opposite elbows. Just pausing here. Releasing through that lower back. Before inhaling, dropping the elbows. Take the gaze forward, hands on the shins. Exhale, fold. And inhale, we sweep all the way up. Palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. And find that breath. Slow, deep inhales. Slow, deep exhales. And we'll get to the floor. So inhale, sweeping both hands up, palms to touch. Exhale, swan diving forwards, coming into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, and we'll step into a downward dog here. Deep inhale and exhale. Drop to the knees. Cross the ankles over each other. And then walk yourself up so you're sitting in cross-legged position. Just a kind of nice way to get down to the floor. So we'll extend, I'll face you so you can see me. So we'll extend our right leg out and we'll take the left sole of the foot on the inside of that thigh. So we'll inhale, growing out through the crown of the head. And then exhale, walk your fingertips down towards the right foot. And then taking hold either of your shin or your ankle, or just anywhere that feels accessible. And various options here as well. So you can either work into the back of that right leg, so really working in the flexibility of that leg, or you can bend through the knee and take your torso further down, but leading with the chest in contact with that right thigh, keeping that left knee engaged so that you can work into the lower back. So really pushing into that left knee, doesn't need to touch the mat or anything like that, but just so that you can feel the benefit of the stretch. And just slowly circulating the breath around. And once you've settled into the pose, maybe play around with it. So just experiment. Maybe you can come out a bit, straighten through the leg, flex the toes back towards your face. And just see what works, see what changes in movement affects which part of your body. And just allowing yourself to resettle and drop into the pose with the breath. Inhale to gently release, gently come out of it by walking your fingertips up towards you. Really growing out through the crown of the head, maybe take some movement into the shoulders. And we'll plant our left hand behind the hips and inhale as we lift the hips, sweeping that right arm behind. And exhale to drop the hips down. Before we go the other side, so switching the legs round, whichever one you didn't do, so just extending that left leg out, or the right one, depending on which one you did or didn't do. Taking the right sole of the foot on the inside of that left leg, and again, resettling here, so maybe even shifting so that you remove the fleshy part of those sit bones. We inhale through the crown of the head and exhale, walking the fingertips down towards that left foot. And just remembering this side might be different. Remembering you've got some options, so taking a bend into that knee if you need to, taking a hold of the foot or the ankle or the shin, or just keeping the fingertips either side. And sending the breath around, settling here. And just notice, just witness which muscles are responding. Deep inhales. And slow exhales. And we inhale. Again, gently coming out of it, creeping those fingertips up towards you. And then we'll come onto our backs. So hugging the knees in and just walking yourselves down onto the mats, hugging the knees into the chest. And we'll take some circles with the knees. So just massaging the lower back into the mat. And we'll cactus the arms. So releasing the forearms, releasing the elbows onto the mat, making sure that both shoulder blades are in contact with the mat, in contact with the floor. We'll take an inhale here, and as we exhale, we'll drop the knees to the left. And then take the gaze over towards the right. Just releasing into a twist. Here for a couple of breaths before we go the other side. So inhale, lift the knees, coming back through center, and exhale, drop the knees to the right. Take the gaze over towards the left. Just a couple of breaths here. Inhale back through center. And exhale, give yourself a squeeze. So wrapping your forearms around your shins, taking your nose towards your knees. And then taking any position that feels good for you. So maybe taking the knees out wide, maybe shining the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, taking a happy baby. Inhale here, exhale. Release the feet, sending the legs long. Releasing your feet out towards the sides, maybe taking your feet so that they're mat width apart. Perhaps taking a bend in the knees, soles of the feet onto the mat. And we'll take our hands by our sides and flip the palms so that they face the ceiling. And coming into our final pose, our relaxation. And just dropping into that breath again. Just allowing yourselves to soften into the mat on the exhale. And just lifting, elevating slightly on the inhale. And just finding some stillness, just for a few moments. And then maybe taking your thoughts back to your intention, if you set one. And then either turning onto your right side, just pausing here just for a few breaths. Or option to take some rock and rolls up the length of the mat. Massaging the spine into the mat. And wherever you are, just gently making your way up to seated or coming into that seated position. When you finish with your rock and rolls, find a comfortable seat. We'll take our hands onto our knees or our thighs, keeping the eyes closed, soft bend in the elbows. Just pausing here, and we'll inhale as we sweep those arms, those hands up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Thank you, everyone.